and England in particular. There is a risk of thunderstorms, though, building up across more southwestern areas as well as the northwest, where there is a weather front. We've still got incredibly hot and humid air with us through tonight, and that will linger into the weekend as well, with red and amber extreme heat warnings in force for parts of southern England. We've got thunderstorms pushing up across more southwestern areas through tonight. That will push into parts of northern England by tomorrow morning, so there's risk of heavy downpours as well as lightning and thunder. There's also a risk of thunderstorms across the far northwest of Scotland throughout much of Friday, with warnings in force for these areas. So it'll be another very warm start to the day, particularly across parts of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit of a damper start for more northern areas, so not quite as warm for these areas to start the day, but it will still be another very hot day into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-teens for parts of Scotland, so markedly fresher for these areas, which it has been through much of this week. But there is that risk of thunderstorms, and it will be a wetter day for much of Scotland, with heavy downpours likely through the day. Very strong sunshine for much of England and Wales throughout Friday. We do have a red and amber extreme heat warning for many eastern areas of England. It's the far southeast of England where we have that red warning in force. We're expecting high impacts due to the heat to the general population, so you may need to make adjustments to your plans. Temperatures are expected to reach the high 30s, 37 degrees is likely on Friday. Then throughout Saturday we do turn much fresher across more western areas as Atlantic air starts to move in, but it will still be another very hot day in the east with an amber extreme heat warning in force. It's not until Sunday when we start to see that cooler air more widely across the UK, with temperatures in the high teens and low 20s.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
From the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out, as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okwir, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
It turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
Kemi Badenoch is refusing to apologise. Good for her. The left can dish it out.
Excuse me, did the Honourable Lady just call me scum?
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth.
But they just can't take it, can they? Pathetic. In other news...
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Denmark plans to ban the Islamic call to prayer. Should we do the same here? And... Well, boy, do I have a big show for you tonight. So, 50,000 illegal immigrants have gone missing. But get this, a GB News exclusive for you. We can reveal that taxpayers are now paying to help illegal immigrants in Bournemouth make it easier for them to claim asylum. And just before we move on to the next story, at 10:30 p.m. for you, I have got an absolutely huge bombshell announcement for you. Some areas, I regret to tell you, are going to change forever. The government has got some big asylum seeker plans. I can tell you about them at 10:30, and I will be amazed if they don't result in huge local protests. Also tonight... Yes, we all went outside and clapped for the NHS, didn't we? Well, some of us did. We held a church service for the NHS. But the culture of cover-up meant that 500 babies and mums died or were injured in one hospital trust. We need to stop worshipping the NHS. And... well, this is another big one for you. At 10 p.m, I can reveal some interesting details about King Charles and the royal family and their finances. On my panel tonight, we have got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, we've got Tory peer Lord Bailey, and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. And, well, I regret to say a wildfire has apparently broken out in Glossop in Derbyshire as the heat wave grips the UK. An absolute devastation in Venezuela. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Never, ever apologise to Labour. Next.
Thank you, Patrick. Good evening. Your latest headlines at 9 o'clock. Shabana Mahmood is set to sack her migration minister after he reportedly breached ministerial code. Mike Tapp, the MP for Dover and Deal, penned an article without his boss's approval in which he demanded migrant care workers are given special exemptions from Mahmood's migration overhaul. He is also accused of stealing ideas from the Home Office, with a source telling the Times newspaper he's looking for a senior position in a future Burnham cabinet. But it's also been reported the Prime Minister is currently refusing the Home Secretary's request to sack him. It's understood Number 10 see him as a minister commenting on policy that falls within his remit. We'll, of course, bring you more as we have it here on GB News. The June heat record has been broken for a second day in a row as temperatures reach 36.7 degrees Celsius in Somerset. A red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales have been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday.
It is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say take care, be sensible with precautions.
Meanwhile, Rachel Reeves says that she's backing Andy Burnham to be the next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
At least 188 people have been killed and 1,500 are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency, with rescuers coming from other countries to assist, including that from the United States, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the country is immediately deploying resources. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in an hour's time, but now it's back to Patrick.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good evening. Kemi Badenoch is refusing to apologise for this.
He taxed private schools to pay for more teachers, but the number of teachers has gone down. Yeah. It turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
Good. Well done, Kemi. Never apologise to these pearl-clutching hypocrites. David Lammy said this. There you go. Kemi had attacked Bridget Phillipson. Oh, she's attacked Bridget Phillipson. Should we have a little look at some of the things that Lammy has said over the years?
By implication, you're comparing the ERG to the Nazi Party, or at least to the South African racists. Now, whatever you think about the ERG, that was an unacceptable comparison, wasn't it?
Andrew, I would say that that wasn't strong enough.
You call Brexiteer Tory MPs worse than Nazis. He said this about Nigel Farage.
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger.
Just baseless. I had to apologise. Bridget Phillipson accused Kemi of not liking her because she was born on a council estate. Nope. It's because you're utterly incompetent. It's not like Labour to be classist, though, is it? Here's Angela Rayner.
Not get any worse than a bunch of scum, homophobic, racist, misogynistic.
Go on, Andrew. I mean, she rattled off the full bingo card there, didn't she? Homophobic, misogynistic, racist, scum. Angela's got form for calling people scum, though. She apparently did it in the House of Commons as well.
And I know she speaks for a lot of her front bench colleagues when she says that. You just need to see it in the support, U-turn, oppose approach that's characterised their hindsight-heavy behaviour. But, excuse me, did the Honourable Lady just call me scum?
Order! 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 Order!
From the front bench, we will not have remarks like that. Not under any circumstances, no matter how heartfelt it might be. Not at all.
Yeah. In 2010, then Labour whip David Wright called Tories scum-suckling pigs on social media. Labour's Minister for Trade and white Y-front enthusiast Chris Bryan said Kemi just did spite today, saying she should have been magnanimous. Oh, yeah, she just did spite. Oh, she's so spiteful. Interesting, because Chris Bryan once got into a furious row with the Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, and was accused of telling him to F off, which he denies. But he's hardly a shining beacon of morality, is he? Shabana Mahmood once accused Nigel Farage of being, quotes, worse than racist, while she was at a fringe event at the Labour conference. Worse than racist. Interesting, isn't it? Keir Starmer's had a few pops himself. He's called Boris a coward. He's called Nigel Farage spineless. It's not a world of difference, is there, between the words spineless and spiteful? Even the darling of the left, the Green Party's Hannah Spencer, she's had a go.
Running a business as a plumber, I was well used to dealing with dirty grubbiness. And there's still plenty of that dirty grubbiness behind me.
Well, OK, I'm sorry, but surely calling people dirty and grubby is worse than accusing the worst education secretary of modern times of being a spiteful class warrior, when all the evidence suggests that she is exactly that. The left have been dishing it out for years. Dawn Butler reportedly praised Extinction Rebellion when they were blockading newspaper offices. This is when they were at the very height of their civil disobedience and law-breaking. You know, the fact is that the left in Britain think that they can be as vile, horrible, nasty and mean as they like because they're the good guys. But when they had a chance at running the country, they ran it into the ground. I mean, it's not as if Kemi was wrong to tee off on Labour, was it? They are absolutely useless. Now, just take a listen to this. And when you listen to it, I just want you to think about the fact that this woman has been in charge of our economy.
What would your advice be to anyone in the future taking on the role as Chancellor?
I'm not sure if anyone wants my advice, but...
Yeah. You know, she came out and said she still thinks she's got work to do as Chancellor. No, Rachel, you've done enough. You've done enough. The left is famous for showing absolutely no mercy to anyone they oppose. Well, take your medicine. Kemi is right not to apologise. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. We've got Tory peer Lord Bailey and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Yeah, Sean, I'll come to you first on this. I mean, what's there to apologise for?
That's my whole emotion. There's absolutely nothing to apologise at all. And why I have absolutely no sympathy for the front bench, because Kemi goes at them hard. They created the circumstances. They spent 14 years turning politics into a contact sport, personal attacks, article after article after tweet, calling people all manner of names. The moment they're on the receiving end, apparently everybody else is in the wrong. You gave 10, 12 examples. There was many, many more of such bad behaviour by them. They have nothing to argue for. When Jess Phillips said that Rishi Sunak didn't care about the victims of the grooming gangs, turns out her government did, and he did. When she had the chance, she didn't do anything. But the point is, anybody listening to this now would be of the opinion, it's certainly my opinion, yeah, they're only saying it because there's a political loss. And there's two things about the left that people need to understand. They try to say things enough to make it real. If you hear a thing enough in advertising, it becomes real. About the £22 billion deficit, remember, the Office of Budget Responsibility simply did not accept that. They said it doesn't exist, hadn't stopped Labour from saying it. And the other thing as well, when they're in a corner, what Labour then tried to do is talk about we should be partisan, we should put this aside, we need to act like parliamentarians. But when it's their opportunity to act like parliamentarians, they absolutely don't. I would say more than Kemi, not only should she not apologise, she should push harder. And bear in mind, they all did it. Who remembers the speeches, not one, multiple speeches, Starmer made, leaning on the dispatch box in that nonchalant way, talking about Boris should go? He should have went months and months and months and months ago, and now it's all come back around full circle to him and his ministers. They've behaved badly and it's getting them back.
Keir Starmer this is something I could have put in there, actually. Keir Starmer got very personal about Boris Johnson at one point.
Yes, he did.
He said, you know, he's let people down. He's done what he's done all his life, which is, let's be honest, a veiled reference, not that veiled, to Boris Johnson's personal life. You know, I mean, I tell you what, Keir Starmer wants to be very careful what he wishes for there. Yeah. But, Linda, you know, this is... I don't know, I just don't... the left are vile a lot of the time. They've been vile. The activists are vile. They used to be vile on social media before Elon Musk took over X. They used to have absolutely massive pylons. I don't remember anyone then saying, oh, they need to moderate their language.
The fact of the matter is that I do believe there is too much ill-considered language in the House of Commons and with politicians in general. But I think the toothpaste's out of the tube now, and we can't go back to a previous era where perhaps people were more polite. The reason why this remark cut through is because it's correct. I do believe that Bridget Phillipson has been very... I won't repeat the word, but I think that she has been jealous, envious. It's the politics of envy here that caused this policy. Now, she underpinned, this is the important bit, it's not necessarily the words that fly around, it's the fact that she was actually incorrect. She had a policy, and she underpinned it on 2 points, that she would raise more revenue than the costs it took to bring it in, and because of that, she would increase the number of teachers by 6,500, which she has not. They have only got up by 2,000. Yeah. That's the real guts of this, and that's why whatever Kemi Badenoch said cut through at that point. Now, whether I believe in that kind of language, I mean, I have a personal view that I don't, but she cut through, and I don't think she should be apologising.
Oh, interesting. Do you think she should apologise, Bill?
I think arguably she should. And look, but I'm not going to defend some of the language that Labour politicians used in describing the Tories. And I think Badenoch was tasteless and over the top with some of her language. You know, calling Bridget Phillipson a class warrior, comparing her to a Gestapo Nazi officer, simply for bringing in a policy that was about fairness with regard to private schools, which, by the way, is supported by the overwhelming majority of people in this country.
Is it?
No.
Yeah, if you look at the opinion polls...
Do they know exactly what's happened? Because that's the thing. It's like if you ask people, you know, like, would you like to strive towards net zero? And people go, yes, I would. And then you go, right, do you want to pay for a new heat pump? Do you want to pay for this? And do you want to pay for that? They go, no. Do you think most people... Really
well, I checked it this afternoon. The last opinion poll explicitly asking people, do you support the government's policy with regard to VAT on private schools? 55% supported it, 19%
So they
ahead.
support fewer class places for their kids instead. Which is what's happened.
No, it's not that. But hold on, let me come on to the substance of this. I think there's a real issue with regard to politicians stoking division and polarisation, driving it through social media, and we end up with the kind of situation that we've got in the United States, where there's virtually no common ground between right and left. I don't think that's good for politicians. I don't think it's good for the country.
No, can I just bring us back to the central point here, because I think we don't need to get distracted. What we're talking about specifically here is a remark made about the addition of VAT onto private school fees. Now, I don't care how many opinion polls have been done. An opinion poll is an opinion poll. It's all anecdotal. It's all what people think in one snapshot. The fact of the matter is that Education, Not Taxation brought out their report this morning, and they had figures and graphs and lots of statistical information and data which said this policy was not working, that the number of schools that has now closed in the private sector is way in excess of what Sir Keir Starmer said would happen.
And there's an important nuance to make for people. People have talked about this policy as if you're going after the Eatons of this world and the Harrods of the world. No, they're completely fine. This has been small, independent schools. I've been written to by schools who provide drama education for children who have sensory dispositions, etc. They're gone. And the most important thing as well, we've now tipped all these extra children into the state system.
We haven't.
Cannot cope.
There has been no mass exodus of kids from private schools.
30,000.
No.
And
look,
the
policy is about standing up for the 94% of kids who go for state schools as opposed to the 6% who go for private schools.
Bill, they've not had an increase in teachers.
There has been. The commitment for 6,500 teachers was over the course of the Parliament, and as Linda has just said, there's been a £2,000 increase, and we're 2 years in. I think we will get there. But I think the other thing...
Why do we need to get there? Sorry, this is what I don't quite understand. why is it that it's people who are scrimping and saving and foregoing various different things, like a particular holiday or where they do the big shop or what car they drive or all of that stuff, just so that they can make the free choice to want to send their kids to a private school?
And they're absolutely entitled.
But they can't if you price them out.
No. But what they shouldn't have is an unfair tax break, which is what existed before, to sponsor them and support them in doing that. We need to stand up for the 94%.
Paying for everybody else's kids' education.
Exactly.
They're already paying for it in their taxes. They're then choosing to pay for their own kids'
and we all pay taxes for some things that we don't take up the opportunity for.
The point has to be made. They're paying this out of their already taxed income. The idea that they're getting some kind of tax break, I personally don't agree.
I mean,
it simply
the
isn't
fact
true.
of the matter is, as Sean raised, they're the big schools like Eton. It won't trouble them.
No.
Eton has so much money, this isn't going to trouble them. Eton does an awful lot, actually, in terms of bursaries and grants and charity, to actually make it a bona fide charity. What troubles me is the much smaller private schools where parents will send children who cannot get that support in the state sector, have to save and save and save and go without cars and go without holidays in order to get their kids in there.
Just final point on this. You know, when it comes to the actual language being used and the kind of pearl clutching that we're seeing here, you know, David Lammy referring to people as being worse than Nazis. All right, OK, so he later had to come out and apologise for his Hitler Youth thing about Farage. Angela Rayner, apologised about the scum thing, but she's done it a couple of times and all of that. I mean, this is... I just think it's incredibly hypocritical for them to have a go at anyone saying spiteful. I mean...
But this is the thing, isn't it? The press will make all of their arguments based on who they want to support. There'll be a big furore in Westminster. But the most important thing, people will be sat in their homes thinking, well, you're all just as bad as each other, and you started it. I have absolutely no sympathy for these people because they started it and they've revelled in it. And as Kemi said, if you give it, you have to take it.
They ruin people's lives. There's the amount of left-wing pylons that used to happen on social media where they would track people down, they would dox them, they would get in touch with their employer, they would do all sorts of stuff for people who supported Brexit or whatever. It was absolutely horrific, and I don't recall people like Keir Starmer saying...
And Patrick, there's been massive right-wing pylons on social media.
It was a tactic.
And I don't think it is good or healthy for our democracy.
But you only want to stop it now, though, don't you?
No. That's always been my view. I think if you drive polarisation and division, and you can fundamentally disagree with someone because of their political beliefs, but to castigate them and stigmatise them with over-the-top language, I don't think it's healthy.
But it's just a real shame that the left did it for so many years, isn't it?
What you're saying is completely correct, but you only ever pick it up when you're at the wrong end of it. That's why people are angry at the left. They started a tactic, and when it's their turn to receive the tactic, all of a sudden
that's always been my view.
OK, all right, just to emphasise again, a couple of the clips that I played you there, David Lammy and Angela Rayner did later go on to apologise for a couple of things that they said there, but just want to get that in. Right, OK, it's time for the Great British Giveaway. It's loads of cash, and let's be honest with you, the current economy, you're probably going to need it. So here's how you can be in it to win it.
Welcome to the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. Lines close tomorrow on your chance to win big this summer. There's an incredible £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to spend however you like, which means you really could be enjoying the 5-star treatment this summer. Cheers! All that cash could take you on the trip of a lifetime or just enable you to relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year is on us. You have to hurry though because lines close at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good luck!
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, is it time to ban the Islamic call to prayer? That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Yeah, welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Look, a couple of massive stories coming your way. 10 p.m. The King's finances, and at 10:30 as well. I'm afraid to say some areas are going to change forever. As big asylum seeker plans are being announced. But it is time now for our head-to-head. All right, everyone, sit back, relax, take a listen to this.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Well, that is, of course, the Islamic call to prayer, and it's broadcast 5 times a day from some mosques, minarets, just using loudspeakers. Well, now, a newly elected left-wing government in Denmark are set to ban the practice. Immigration Minister Morten Bodskov has said that it has no place in Denmark. And he said that it's the gradual Islamisation and it was taking up too much of the public space in Denmark. So now I'm asking, look, should Britain follow suit? Should we ban the Islamic call to prayer here? Going head-to-head on this is journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and the Imam and Director of the Oxford Islamic Information Centre, Dr. Sheikh Ramzi. Thank you very, very much. Khadija, I'll start with you. Should we ban the call to prayer?
We need to make this thing very, very clear that we are discussing the potential ban on sound amplification, specifically in relation to the call to prayer, azan, and not the Islamic practice itself. And regarding the sound amplification of the azan, it is not an essential requirement in Islam. And if we talk about Denmark, in some parts of the country, such as Copenhagen, local bylaws already prohibit the broadcasting of the call to prayer from loudspeakers in minarets due to strict noise regulations. And yes, Denmark's immigration minister has said this statement, as you just read, that creeping Islamization in Denmark is taking up too much public space. So what is so problematic about this statement? I think it is highly disingenuous to link this issue to anti-Muslim bigotry or perceiving it as an attack on Islam, because in 2021, authorities in Saudi Arabia defended restrictions on the volume of loudspeakers at mosques in the name of broader efforts to make Saudi Arabia more liberal and to reduce the influence of religion in public space.
All right.
I don't see it as a controversial issue for a Western country to talk about banning this practice.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Dr. Sheikh Ramsey, I believe you take a different view. Why should we not ban the Islamic call to prayer, blurring it?
Yes, of course. In general, of course, I believe the integration and the cohesion, and of course, it is very important for the Muslims. For example, if the mosque, I always said, if the mosque saying the call to prayer and 80% of people around the mosque are Muslim, there is no problem as long as it be melodical, beautiful melodical, and the sound not be too loud. There is no problem, because we have all the churches, which the churches, of course, they're playing, of course, for 500 years, they're ringing the bell. There is no problem. Many Muslim or non-Muslim, there are around the churches. However, that's the integration and cohesion. It is a very important traditional of Islam is a networking. It used to be networking. They go to the top, for example, man goes top and shout, for example, a call to prayer. And again, it's a beautiful things. If it's a melodical, beautiful things, many people who goes to the Istanbul, who goes to the Morocco. And
yes,
so
but it's in Istanbul and Morocco, isn't it? That's
exactly.
the difference.
I take objection to this.
You didn't allow me to finish. I am myself going every year to the churches and the cathedrals and read the call to prayer. Read the Carl Jenkins, armed man and a peace, mass for peace. I'm always going there, and 700 to 1,000 people love that. Again, I said, if there is, for example, places like Birmingham or so and so on, so around it they are there, and they can hear it. There is no problem. Again, city council, county council will decide. Is it not a?
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Thank you very much. Go on, Khadija. Would like to come back to that?
I take objection to the meaning of azan, because it is problematic and questionable in public domain. The muezzin means the person performing the call for prayer, explicitly negates and falsifies other religion and asserts the superiority of Islam when he professes shahada in azan. Now, this does not promote an inclusive or tolerant message toward people of faith and no faith. There are people living in this country in hiding due to the fear of life, because they have left Islam and they have refused to profess the oneness of Allah. Then there are people who have fled the Muslim majority countries and sought refuge in this country because they were subjected to relentless persecution under the name of superiority of Islamic belief. I do understand that for some Muslims, this might be, a subject of comforting themselves to hear call to prayer 5 times a day. But it should never be acceptable to compel other people to listen to the Islamic call to prayer 5 times a day, all in the name of diversity and inclusion. There have been efforts made by certain mosques in this country to regulate this thing, to make it a common practice, to make a call to prayer over loudspeakers. But this has received backlash, and in many cases, the applications was withdrawn. So it exposes that there is no appetite among British people to see the assertion of religious superiority in public domain.
Fine, OK. And look, Dr. I'll come back to you on this because a couple of points, right? Like church bells don't ring out 5 times a day. And they might ring out maybe potentially a bit on a Sunday, depends where you are, if there's a wedding or if there's a special occasion. It is also, you know, historically been a Christian country, so there is some kind of historical context there, I suppose, for that. Is the prayer, the 5 times a day prayer, is it basically at the same time every single day? Because this is what I'm trying to get at. People don't actually need to listen to that to know when it's happening, do they? Or do they?
No, it changes 2 minutes, 3 minutes a day. That means during the year, they change about 20 minutes, half an hour or so. A month, 20 minutes.
But they would be able to find that out without the call to prayer, wouldn't they?
That's right. And it's a very, again, I said, it's a beautiful tradition. The people, if they're around it, I said 80% around it, that can be done. And we got the city council, county council, they seen it and they doing it. Of course, our honorable friend, where she was saying there are 2 different issues where the people coming to these countries, for example, from persecution and so on, so on. So the prosecution doesn't mean the call to Azan. Still, they are Muslims. Still, they are or Christian. They want to come. There is no problem. They don't say, "Oh, ban it," because the 2 people come. Islam and Christianity are missionary religion. You can't ban these ones. However, I said,
nobody is talking about banning the practice itself.
Don't talk over my. I didn't talk over you. Please don't talk.
Have to be quite quick there.
Birmingham, Manchester, Bradford, they are all Muslim there, and again they see, and I saw many people in the central mosque in Oxford. They wanted to get many non-Muslims. They said we love to go because we brought a community together. I've said, what is your opinion if I do it? Many they said yes, do it. And I would say no to banning, because the banning is wrong. We have the law ourselves in this country.
We got to go. I think it's a bit tricky. Look, I'm so sorry. We're sorry.
If the concern is about announcing prayer times, I think we have digital devices that can provide reminders. That loudspeakers have only been used for less than 100 years, and there are numerous modern
everything is a tradition of the Prophet, and we love the Prophet. We love the Prophet. Tradition of the Prophet, and we love him.
Guys, we've got to go. Anyway, right, OK, thank you very much. Thank you. Right, Karif. Journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and the Imam and Director of the Oxford Islamic Information Centre, Dr. Sheikh Ramsey. Right, OK, how much do you think you are paying for the Royals? I'm going to reveal all at 10 p.m. Historic moments there for the King. But up next, Bernie Spofforth, who is very much a kind of free speech activist, joins me live in the studio with her new book. That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of 1 or 2 showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of 1 or 2 showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. It's been another very hot day today, and it will continue to be very warm tonight for much of Wales and England in particular. There is a risk of thunderstorms, though, building up across more southwestern areas as well as the northwest, where there is a weather front. We've still got incredibly hot and humid air with us through tonight, and that will linger into the weekend as well, with red and amber extreme heat warnings in force for parts of southern England. We've got thunderstorms pushing up across more southwestern areas through tonight. That will push into parts of northern England by tomorrow morning, so there's risk of heavy downpours as well as lightning and thunder There's also a risk of thunderstorms across the far northwest of Scotland throughout much of Friday, with warnings in force for these areas. So it'll be another very warm start to the day, particularly across parts of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit of a damper start for more northern areas, so not quite as warm for these areas to start the day, but it will still be another very hot day into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-teens for parts of Scotland, so markedly fresher for these areas, which it has been through much of this week. But there is that risk of thunderstorms, and it will be a wetter day for much of Scotland, with heavy downpours likely through the day. Very strong sunshine for much of England and Wales throughout Friday. We do have a red and amber extreme heat warning for many eastern areas of England. It's the far southeast of England where we have that red warning in force. We're expecting high impacts due to the heat to the general population, so you may need to make adjustments to your plans. Temperatures are expected to reach the high 30s, 37 degrees is likely on Friday. Then throughout Saturday, we do turn much fresher across more western areas as Atlantic air starts to move in, but it will still be another very hot day in the east with an amber extreme heat warning in force. It's not until Sunday when we start to see that cooler air more widely across the UK, with temperatures in the high teens and low 20s.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
The winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. I'm very excited about this segment. So in August 2024, public disorder erupted across parts of the country following the brutal murders of 3 young girls at a dance class in Southport, of course, by Axel Ruda-Cabana. Now, police were criticised for withholding key details about the attacker, creating an information vacuum in which false claims about the perpetrator spread rapidly online. Now, arrests were made, including, of course, infamously, over social media posts. I mean, people serve serious time in prison for some of that stuff. Now, one of the people who was arrested, as I'm sure many of you will remember, was Bernie Spofforth. Now, she was dragged from her home by police and held in a cell for 36 hours on suspicion of stirring up racial hatred after sharing the wrong name of the attacker online. Well, she later qualified her words in the post by saying, look, if this is true, deleted it as soon as she realised it was false. Even so, it took a month before she was cleared of any wrongdoing. Well, I'm very pleased to say that Bernie Spofforth joins us now in this studio to talk about that, freedom of speech in general, other things as well, and crucially, her new book, A War to Win Back Your World. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to see you in the flesh, because I've been a long-time follower on social media. Look, would you just, before we talk about the book a bit, really, would you just talk to our viewers and listeners about, you know, the impact that had on you and where you think we are as a country about freedom of speech and things like that, really?
It had an appalling impact on me because I'd been in business for 30 years. I'm a sensible person. I'm a ferocious information gatherer. And on that one day, I didn't do it. I didn't check. And I just put out a post and I said, if this is true, there will be hell to pay. Because Obviously, there would be. We've had little girls murdered, a dance class attacked. It was horrendous. I realised that I hadn't checked it, and before I even knew it was false, I deleted it. But it didn't matter, because they had a scalp, didn't they? That scalp wasn't the usual type of scalp, and I actually think they thought I was some kind of underworld pushing all the buttons of what was going on. That they thought I was some really serious extremist. Of course I wasn't. I just made a mistake. And exactly as Keir Starmer had said 2 years before, if people make a mistake on social media and they delete it, that should be the end of the story. But it wasn't.
No. And you had a horrific ordeal, obviously, in police custody.
Horrendous. Absolutely awful. I was held like a terrorist for 36 hours. The only part in the book I talk about this in is in a little prologue, just to explain to people.
Yeah.
You know, there are some people out there that are so brave, Patrick. I've seen them be arrested and come out firing on all cylinders. I was destroyed.
You live in fear. I'm not saying this is a sign of weakness at all, good grief, but, like, you know, you live in fear of being arrested.
Yeah, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of being arrested. I just listened to the segment you did before. I'm too frightened to speak about that. I'm too scared because I don't know what I personally can say and what I can't.
Yeah, and it's you know, it is a scary time for a lot of people like that. And I hear this a lot when I go out and about, you know, up and down the country talking to people. This exact thing that you were saying there is echoed. People fear that they're going to get a knock on the door and dragged away from their kids or whatever and prosecuted because of something they might have said down the pub or something they might say on social media.
Yeah.
But talk to me a bit about this book then, right? So come on, what's it all about? What's the purpose of it? Why is it so important?
So after the arrest, I subsequently had a lot of time on my hands, and anyone who's followed me on social media, anybody who knows me, knows that I'm fascinated by patterns and information in general. And there were lots of half stories online. There weren't there, during COVID, that obviously people like the World Health Organization said was misinformation. But actually, some of it was actually true. But I followed some of those threads to find out how much of these so-called conspiracy theories and misinformation were
Turned out to be true.
Were true.
Fascinating.
And what that meant was I had to go back in time and had to look at where it all started, and I had to go through things like net zero, for example, which is the biggest fake industrial revolution of our lifetime. Since when would there be an industrial revolution where you have to force the product on the people? They didn't force the iPhone on you, did they? They didn't force you to stop killing whales for their oil when we invented kerosene. Why were they forcing this on us? And that was what I started to look into. And the book really covers very much of everything that is happening around you and the institutions that it comes from.
It's absolutely fascinating. So go on, remind us what it's called and where they can get it and everything as well.
It's called A War to Win Back Your World, and it's available today from Amazon, Foyles, Waterstones, and hilariously, The Guardian online bookshop.
Oh, really?
I know.
Be intrigued to see what review they give it as well. That'd be fascinating. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming in. I know a lot of people are just very, very grateful for, you know, you coming out and coming out the other side of what happened there, really, and why it's so important for, you know, to have freedom of speech in this country. We don't get everything right 100% of the time, but that doesn't mean that you should, you know, serve time in prison for it at all, does it? Really?
Doesn't.
Exactly. Look, Bernie, thank you very, very, very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. That is Bernadette Spofforth there. Just quickly on this, a judge of police had previously said that the 55-year-old woman from near Chester was arrested on Thursday, August 8th, following allegations in relation to a social media post containing inaccurate information about the identity of the attacker in the Southport murders. Following a thorough investigation, a decision has been made that no further action will be taken due to insufficient evidence. So that was what they said at the time there. Look, coming up at 10 p.m, well, the King's finances are about to be laid bare. Charles III is expected to reveal his personal tax bill for the first time, and I've got something big for you at 10:30 as well.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
But there's a huge amount of psychological evidence. There's lots of theories about when people make decisions and follow them with actions, their behaviour becomes consistent with the choice they made. So if you get married, you're more likely to see each other with rose-tinted spectacles, that kind of thing. The signal value of marriage is absolutely huge. I was talking to a young couple who are newly engaged just the other day, and they said it was amazing how it actually changed the way that they felt about their relationship. So it does provide extra security, and doing it in front of your friends makes a huge difference as well. It holds you to account. So there's a huge psychology behind the act of marriage. So it would be weird if there wasn't any effect at all. I found that your family background, so your age, your education, income, affects about half of your chance of staying together.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The art world has lost its darling, probably the most respected, celebrated, influential artist of the 20th and 21st century. And as you say, career spanning 7 decades, whether you're looking at his portraits or his Californian swimming pools or his spectacular Yorkshire landscapes, he made art for the people. The art world can be a rather snobby place, which is unfortunate at times, but he made art for the people. If you think about the portraits, the people that he painted, whether it be Mr. and Mrs. Ossie Clark, the fashion designer, and Percy the cat, or Harry Styles, or a portrait of his carer.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I'm going to try and explain what SpaceX is. It's set to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. But it's not just about rockets. Everyone will be aware. OK, well, it'd be really nice if Elon Musk could could help us out with our tech here, because I'm trying to draw a rocket and we're not able to. What is going on? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid our very own. Let's see. No, we're not. I'll try and explain what's going on with SpaceX without any visual aids. How disappointing! It's 3 companies really. It's a rocket company, it's a communications company, and it's an AI company, all in one. It controls 84% of the commercial launch market in this country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Yeah, welcome back. So a landmark review has exposed the biggest maternity scandal in NHS history, revealing that systemic failures at Nottingham University Hospital NHS Trust contributed to the potentially avoidable harm or deaths of more than 500 mothers and babies. Joining us now is the former chair of the Birth Trauma Inquiry and former Conservative MP, Theo Clark. Thank you very, very much. Look, this to me just seems absolutely disgraceful, but it's the cover-up, isn't it? It's the attempted, pretty consistent cover-up here.
Well, good evening. Well, Donna Ockendon's report yesterday is really a landmark moment, I think, in the history of maternity care in the UK. What she uncovered at Nottingham University's Hospital Trust is incredibly shocking. The fact that more than 2,500 families came forward and gave evidence of poor examples of care. In the worst examples, babies have died. There's actually been a cover-up by the hospital. And quite frankly, families are angry and upset that it got to this point and it took them years, in many cases, to be believed. So this is a very important report. And firstly, I welcome that the Health Secretary came out yesterday in the House of Commons and has apologised on behalf of the NHS. But that is not enough. We have not had the government take immediate action. And I think that's why families are incredibly frustrated this week, because they are in effect kicking into the long grass again by not immediately implementing these recommendations.
Well, quite. But also, like, the bigger picture for me here is this. We clapped for the NHS during COVID and we had a church service for it on its anniversary. And it's this big sacred cow in this country. But actually, time and time and time again, the instinct is to cover up medical malpractice. And that really, really grates at me. And do we think we need to shatter this illusion that the NHS as a whole is this lovely, fluffy thing? Great people work in it, don't get me wrong, but there are huge scandals and they try to cover it up and then just ask for more money from the taxpayer.
Well, firstly, you're right that this is not a one-off story. Unfortunately, we have seen now a huge number of scandals in East Kent, Shrewsbury and Telford, in Sussex, and I'm sure more to come. And what is really concerning is that we have not learnt the lessons of previous reports. The statistic that I find most concerning that I heard when I chaired the birth trauma inquiry in Parliament 2 years ago was that there are 748 policy recommendations from previous reports into maternity which have not actually been implemented. So in effect, we're not actually learning the lessons of these previous reports. And that's why I've been calling with Louise Thompson, who is another mum affected by birth trauma, to have a maternity commissioner, because really the time has come for us to have an independent expert whose job it is in Westminster to fight every day for affected families. And I think the current chaos, to be honest, in the government illustrates the point so well. I mean, I'm on my 8th or 9th health secretary making the point of why we need to improve maternity care. And I think having an independent commissioner would go a long way to have the trust of families that some of these reports are not going to sit on the shelf, but they're actually now going to be implemented, and we're going to learn from these shocking failings.
Absolutely. You're doing amazing work. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about this really, really important issue. It's Theo Clark there, who's a former chair of the Birth Trauma Inquiry and former Conservative MP. The Chief Midwifery Officer has said that we introduced a new national clinical standards which are helping to prevent harm. Look, when we come back, the King's finances, they're being revealed. And, of course, as well, huge news about asylum seekers at 10:30. Area's going to change forever.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. It's been another very hot day today, and it will continue to be very warm tonight for much of Wales and England in particular. There is a risk of thunderstorms, though, building up across more southwestern areas as well as the northwest, where there is a weather front. We've still got incredibly hot and humid air with us through tonight, and that will linger into the weekend as well, with red and amber extreme heat warnings in force for parts of southern England. We've got thunderstorms pushing up across more southwestern areas through tonight. That will push into parts of northern England by tomorrow morning, so there's risk of heavy downpours as well as lightning and thunder. There's also a risk of thunderstorms across the far northwest of Scotland throughout much of Friday, with warnings in force for these areas. So it'll be another very warm start to the day, particularly across parts of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit of a damper start for more northern areas, so not quite as warm for these areas to start the day, but it will still be another very hot day into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-teens for parts of Scotland, so markedly fresher for these areas, which it has been through much of this week. But there is that risk of thunderstorms, and it will be a wetter day for much of Scotland, with heavy downpours likely through the day. Very strong sunshine for much of England and Wales throughout Friday. We do have a red and amber extreme heat warning for many eastern areas of England. It's the far southeast of England where we have that red warning in force. We're expecting high impacts due to the heat to the general population, so you may need to make adjustments to your plans. Temperatures are expected to reach the high 30s, 37 degrees is likely on Friday. Then throughout Saturday, we do turn much fresher across more western areas as Atlantic air starts to move in, but it will still be another very hot day in the east with an amber extreme heat warning in force. It's not until Sunday when we start to see that cooler air more widely across the UK, with temperatures in the high teens and low 20s.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out, as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight. Well, it's breaking right this second. King Charles has just become the first monarch to publish his tax affairs.
In both of our countries, it is the very fact of our vibrant, diverse and free societies that gives us our collective strength.
Well, there are some very, very surprising things in there, and it's not just him.
Eugene, good morning. Your Royal Highness.
Nice to see you.
That's right. This will affect the entire future of the monarchy and... Well, it's a big hour for news, this. 50,000 illegal immigrants have gone missing, and...
Two streets! Our streets! Two streets! Our streets! Two streets! Our streets!
This, for me, is the really big one. Just after 10 p.m, I am able to tell you about some absolutely bonkers plans that the Labour government has to put asylum seekers in various different communities. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I would be amazed if there aren't large local protests as a result of this. On my panel tonight, we've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Tory peer Lord Bailey and former Labour MP Bill Rammell. And can you tell me what's going on here?
Keep going past, keep going. Right, stop here on the right. Stop.
Yeah, it's a good one, that. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Get ready for something that might rock the monarchy next.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good evening. Your latest GB News headlines at 10 o'clock. Shabana Mahmood is set to sack her migration minister after he reportedly breached ministerial code. Mike Tapp, the MP for Dover and Deal, penned an article without his boss's approval in which he demanded migrant care workers are given special exemptions from Mahmood's migration overhaul. He also is accused of stealing ideas from the Home Office, with a source telling the Times newspaper he's looking for a senior position in a future Burnham cabinet. But it's also been reported the Prime Minister is currently refusing the Home Secretary's request to sack him. It's understood Number 10 see him as a minister commenting on policy that falls within his remit. The June heat record has been broken for a second day in a row as temperatures reached 36.7 degrees Celsius in Somerset. A red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales has been extended until 9 p.m. tomorrow night.
Look, it is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say, take care, be sensible with precautions.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, says she is backing Andy Burnham to be the next Prime Minister, amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
At least 188 people have been killed and over 1,500 people are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Rescuers are coming from all other countries to assist, including from the United States, with the Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the country is immediately deploying resources. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. It's back to Patrick.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Yeah, good evening. Hold on to your hats this hour because at 10:30 I'm finally allowed to tell you about the government's ridiculous plans to move asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, into various different parts of the country. It's going to change areas forever, and I don't see how locals in those areas are going to take that lying down, frankly, but that is at 10:30. The big breaking news right now, though, is that King Charles has just revealed his personal tax bill and some astonishing facts about the royal finances. King Charles III is the first monarch to ever release his tax records and finances. Here they are. King Charles has paid more than £30 million in tax since taking the throne in 2022, including £12.9 million for 2024 to 2025 and £11.7 million for 2023 to 2024. But this is the big news. The King and Queen will not live at Buckingham Palace once the £370 million taxpayer-funded refurbishment work has been completed. Now, that is a surprise. Firstly, because you'd have thought that after forking out 370 million quid to do it up a bit, it might actually be fit for a king, but also because we were previously told that he only wasn't living there because things like the plumbing weren't up to scratch. It's basically going to be an office, which means it's probably the most lavish and expensive office in Britain. We can also reveal that the sovereign grant, which funds Charles's official duties and the work of his household, increased by £45.8 million to £132.1 million in 2025-2026. The sovereign grant has almost doubled in 3 years. There is also some detail about Prince William's finances, apparently, in this. Prince William undertook the most expensive official overseas trip, making a round trip by charter plane to Saudi Arabia in February at a cost of £130,106. The Prince of Wales also released his tax details for the first time, paying £7.76 million in income and capital gains tax in 2024 to 25 and £8.34 million in 2023 to 24. Now look, before people get too hot and bothered about all this, it's worth remembering that the British taxpayer does actually make a profit from the royal family. In exchange for the taxpayer-funded sovereign grant, the King surrenders all profits from the Crown estate, a £16 billion national property and energy portfolio, directly to the UK Treasury. So in a typical year, the Crown estate apparently generates significantly more money for the public purse than the royal family takes back. For example, if the Crown estate was to make £500 million in profit and the government pays the royals a sovereign grant of £130 million, the UK Treasury keeps the remaining £370 million surplus to fund public services. The problem for the King, though, I think, is that people just see these huge sums of money and they see that he's not going to be living at Buckingham Palace and all of that kind of stuff, and they see that they personally are being taxed at the highest rate since the war. Vast swathes of patriotic Brits, they look outside and they don't recognise their own country anymore, and they're threatened with years in prison if they hang their national flag from a lamppost now in some areas, and they see houses going to illegal immigrants when they can't afford to own one themselves. And then they see King Charles getting his massive palace refurbished so that it can remain quintessentially British, and for some people, sticks in the craw a little bit. And then they also see King Charles doing stuff like this.
The Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all. Ramadan Mubarak.
And then they see that he doesn't always do video messages for Easter, for example. And look, my little word of warning for King Charles, and indeed Prince William, would be this. Look at your approval ratings. What do they tell you? The over 65s, upwards of 77% of the over 65s strongly support retaining the monarchy and they approve of the King. Great stuff. But you look at the 18 to 24-year-olds, it's just 33% there or thereabouts that support the monarchy. Now, King Charles can keep saying things like this all he wants.
In both of our countries, it is the very fact of our vibrant, diverse and free societies that gives us our collective strength.
But I'm afraid to say the reality shows that that diversity is not a strength for the British monarchy, is it? It should not come as a shock that importing people from all over the world very rapidly into Britain, while simultaneously teaching school children about the evils of British Empire and monarchy, is a recipe for disaster for the future of the royal family. It also doesn't help that the Anglican Church has, in my view, lost its way recently, at precisely the same time that King Charles vowed to be defender of all faiths and not simply the faith. And look, I am incredibly supportive of the royal family. I am 100% in favour of the amount of money the British taxpayer gives to the royals. I would, if called upon, fight and die for king and country. But I do wish sometimes that King Charles would do a little bit more to focus on his base support and stop trying to appease certain minority groups who I don't think will ever fully support him. But let's get stuck into these finances now. Let's cross over to GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker before we go to my panel. Cameron, so he's the first monarch ever to do this, then, isn't he? What's your take on what we've seen in the data here?
Well, Patrick, for GB News audiences, I spent 5 hours in financial briefings with all of these documents, so you don't have to go through them all, and we've assimilated them with my producer, Tom, this afternoon and evening for you. As you said, Patrick, at the start of your piece there, I think a lot of our audience are probably going to be wondering why £370 million, roughly, of their money is being spent on resurfacing a building, Buckingham Palace, which no monarch is unlikely to ever live in ever again. And if we can just take you to, there you are, 370 million for Buckingham Palace. If we just take you to the next slide, where we can see the diagram of how the royal family is funded, the money that the king surrenders the profits of from the Crown Estates to the Treasury in exchange for a percentage to fund the official duties, that percentage for almost a decade has been much higher in order to refurbish Buckingham Palace. And we were told right at the beginning they needed this more money, and they insisted that the reason for that is that the king will move back in when the resurfacing is complete. But now, of course, King Charles and Queen Camilla, we know, are going to be staying at Clarence House when they're in London. They're not going to be moving back in. Prince William calls Forest Lodge, the 8-bedroom mansion in Windsor, his forever home. So it's very unlikely when he is king that he's going to move his family in there either. But look, Buckingham Palace is an incredibly old building, an incredibly famous building as well. And people come from all over the world to see it. So even if someone wasn't living there, palace sources basically say, look, if we didn't do something, there would have been, and I quote, a catastrophic fire or flood risk for Buckingham Palace because all of the piping and all of the electrical works hadn't been updated since the end of the Second World War. So, 70, 80 odd years. So that is why the resurfacing work was being done. Royal aides also insist that the king, he's still going to use the building. It's still going to be his office. He's still going to host investitures and state banquets and garden parties and engagements and all the rest of it. He's still going to have a suite of rooms where he can take a break between engagements, get change. He'll have an office there as well. But he just won't lay his head down there. The last monarch to do that was Queen Elizabeth II. She left in March 2020 to go and isolate during the coronavirus pandemic. Now, a spokesperson for the king has told GB News that the palace will continue in every traditional way to be the beating heart of the monarchy, just not resting its head. It's a buzzing hive of royal activity in every other way. His Majesty retains huge affection for Buckingham Palace and a deep respect for its role in royal and public life. It will remain a working home, but we are seeking to widen public access precisely to maximise the national benefit of a publicly funded building. And I also understand that the king wants the palace to be for the wider public good rather than his greater private benefit. What I mean by they mean, I think, by the wider access is they are expected to open up more of Buckingham Palace for public tours, particularly the North Wing, where the late Queen used to live. Well, let's see if the public are going to get aboard of that. Meanwhile, of course, more taxes, of course. The king has announced his tax return, 30 million plus in taxes since the king ascended to the throne. 20 million Prince William has paid in the last 2 years. And just to top it all off, Patrick, the royal transport costs, just over £3 million was spent in the last financial year by all working members of the royal family on helicopters, private jets, cars, and the royal train.
Gosh, right. OK, Cameron, thank you very, very much. Well done for sifting through all of that. It looks like you would have had to have hired a chartered accountant to get to all that time. Thank you so much. Wonderful Cameron Walker there is GB News' royal correspondent. Let's get the views of my panel on this. We have got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. We've got Tory peer Lord Bailey and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. OK, sure. What's your verdict on what's been revealed tonight? Nothing like this has ever been revealed before by the royal family.
I think they've done the right thing because times are changing and the public want to see where their money's going. And I think in the future that's going to become even more of an issue. If you think Buckingham Palace is an expensive extravagance, you want to see some of the stuff the government does with your money. That's all I'll say on that. I'm a bit ambivalent about the palace because it is a lot of money to spend to not be the place he rests his head. But having said that, I used to be special advisor to the Prime Minister and I used to work in Number 10. And I remember having a delegation over, I forget which country they're from, and I did feel a little bit bad at how shoddy parts of Number 10 are. And in order we need this building to represent our country, and it should be done at the very highest level. Now, I would go back and check the contract. 370 million is a lot of money, but I do accept the fact that we need a place to host all the great and good of the world that looks its physical best. The best possible building you could have on this planet, I think, is worth doing. People should remember the king is not required to pay income tax and capital gains tax in the same way that we are, but he voluntarily pays tax. And I think that has warded off some of the attack on the royal family. It can't be a surprise to anyone that the King of England's a very rich man.
No, my only concern with doing things like this is, look, especially as a journalist and as a taxpayer, yeah, I like to know this stuff. Great. But I think there's been a wider policy of attempted appeasement by the monarchy and the royal family over the course of especially the last few years. You saw what they did with Ngozi Fulani, the one who turned up in African dress and made a huge fanfare about the idea that she was repeatedly asked, where she really came from and all of this. And they bent over backwards for her and they tried to appease her. They're trying to do a lot of stuff with net zero. They're trying to do a lot of stuff about diversity and multiculturalism and all of this. And I just wonder, I don't think it does them any good. I don't know if it really does them any good, this kind of stuff, Linda. I don't know. What's your view?
Well, I'm with Sean here. I think that when you invite foreign statesmen and women over to this country, you've got to have something you can be proud of. I've been inside Buckingham Palace to several different places within the palace, obviously not the private quarters. And to me, it did look a little bit threadbare. I was quite surprised, actually. And so if you've got to spend money on a kind of environment like that, then that's what has to be done. It is, in fact, it's like a very sort of historic office block, if you like. There are loads and loads of offices in there. It's not really a home. Prince Charles doesn't want to live there. He wants to live in Clarence House. Queen Camilla wants to live in Clarence House. That's what they regard as their home, but they work inside Buckingham Palace. But your wider point about should they... they're paying... It's the perception of people who are receiving a great deal of money at a time when we are finding it very, very difficult, economically speaking.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of research for it as well. Apparently, the royal family brings in about £1 billion a year in tourism and related things. So, these are huge numbers that we're talking about here. I think Sean's absolutely right. You want to check what contract they've signed about the refurbishments. If it's anything like, anything else, I hope they've not been ripped off there with things. But the royal family is financially a net benefit to Britain, I believe, Bill. So if you look at it like that, then it's OK, isn't it, really?
It is, with some caveats. I mean, look, the fact that there's greater transparency, I think, is a good thing. But let's not deceive ourselves. This has been driven by the scandal around Andrew and the fact that you look at the public polling, support for the monarchy is at a 30-year low. And part of the response is to be more transparent. But I think inevitably that's going to bring greater calls for reform. So the fact that there's not an obligation to pay taxes, I think, needs to change. The fact that the King pays not a penny of inheritance tax when everyone else in the country pays that. And the sovereign grant has gone up by 50% in a couple of years. No other area of public spending has had that level of increase. And I think that needs questioning.
The only thing about the inheritance tax thing, though...
Here's the thing. I think you're correct. I think it goes to your point. The more people see, the more people want to see. But the royal family, on this one particular thing, may end up a net beneficiary. Because if they can say, OK, we can demonstrate that we bring in $1 billion, and we're paying enough in... That could probably stop the argument. Where I think you are correct, there's a drip of an attack on their position, and because they've been so busy appeasing people, right, that they haven't learned, particularly if you're anti-monarchist or you're on the left, they cannot be appeased. So the more you try to appease them, they build a momentum up against you.
But ignore their base. I'm sorry, but there is a... I get that, look, he's the king of every single person who is in England, don't get me wrong, right? And there's loads of different varieties of people, obviously. But there is a core base, isn't there? When you go out to, rural England and you've got those kind of, rural churches and those places where you'd have your village fete and all of that, that is the base. And I don't think the monarchy does enough in recent years, has done enough to look after those people or speak to them.
I think you are right. That is the core base, but it's a two-way street. I think if we're going to talk about this country being a Christian country, being an Anglican country, then we have to practice that. Everyone has to go out that. And we've got declining congregations, we've got less attention on religion, and we need to do more to support that and to build that base. That's really important right now. It's not just about the king.
Just on the inheritance tax thing, the reason, and I don't claim to be a tax expert, but the reason why I think it should stay as it is because if every single time a monarch passed away and you had these unbelievable inheritance, they'd have to sell off various different bits of royal property, wouldn't they, in order to be able to pay the bill.
Well, I think if you're as wealthy as the king is, you can manage that inheritance tax.
And they don't pass away.
But look, I'm going to say something in support of the king. And I'm a pragmatic monarchist. In my youth, I held different views, but I'm a pragmatic monarchist. And I did have a fear when he took over that he would actually, unlike the Queen, try to directly meddle in politics. And he hasn't done that. And I think that's to his credit and to all our security.
I tell you the thing he's done, to go to your point about not respecting the base. I don't think he's made the big mistake. I think William's made a big mistake. Separating himself from the church, from the bishops, is a compounding, actually, of Charles's mistake of defending of the faiths. We're a country of one faith or not.
I think that...
When people come to this country, if you're Islamic in this country, you don't mind that it's a Christian country. That's not a problem for you. But somehow the king has kowtowed to that. William's now talk about separating himself from the faith. I can see a situation where he separates himself from the Anglican Church. People have sought the bishops and the lords, and then the bishops and the lords go, and shortly after that will be the monarchy. And the mistake would have been the compounding of William saying, "No, I'm not really into this faith."
And William has made no secret of wanting a sort of bicycle-riding, more European monarchy.
I'm sure
he wants to simplify things right down, and that is his attempt.
But if that happens, the tax bill goes up. I guarantee.
OK, well, quite. All right, well, look, it'll be interesting to see what you make of that. I imagine that it'll be on the front of some front pages as well, so we'll probably return to that topic shortly. I need to tell you now, though, about the Great British Giveaway. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
Welcome to the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. Lines close tomorrow on your chance to win big this summer. There's an incredible £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to spend however you like, which means you really could be enjoying the 5-star treatment this summer. Cheers! All that cash could take you on the trip of a lifetime, or just enable you to relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year is on us. You have to hurry though, because lines close at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good luck!
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I've got some absolutely huge news for you when we come back.
We will remove people with no right to be here, and we will secure Britain's borders.
First bit is that more than 50,000 illegal immigrants and foreign criminals have just gone missing. So there's that. However, the major breaking story is that the government is announcing where they are going to now put a load of asylum seekers. And there are some areas that are about to change forever. And I will be amazed if the government manages to get this through. So stay tuned. I will be finally able to reveal the exact locations of what they're planning on doing in just a couple of minutes' time, so don't go anywhere.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time,
But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Two big bits of news for you now. Firstly, newly released figures show that more than 50,000 illegal migrants have gone missing in the UK after absconding from immigration enforcement, including around 1,200 foreign criminals. Bearing in mind there are currently 123,000 people on an asylum waiting list, 50,000 appear to have gone missing. So there you go. Figures show that migrants have faced, loads of different charges, and they have gone. So that is absolutely, mental, really. Let's be honest when you think about that. But the big breaking news, which I'm now able finally to reveal to you this evening, is this. The Home Office is planning to use more former military barracks to house thousands of asylum seekers in its quest to shut down hotels. And tonight, I can reveal that planning permission is being sought at Ministry of Defence sites in the following locations: Bicester in Oxfordshire, Barnham in Suffolk, and Linton-on-Ouse in North Yorkshire, to accommodate a total of 3,750 asylum seekers. Now, just to give you a bit of context there, Linton-on-Ouse has a population of around 800 people. And in 2022, the then Conservative government wanted to try to house 1,500 illegal migrants in Linton-on-Ouse for an area that has a population of 800 people. And it now looks as though the Labour government is looking to do the same thing. We can also reveal the government is looking to expand the use of existing sites in Crowborough, in East Sussex, until 2030, and Wethersfield in Essex beyond 2027. And certainly when it comes to Crowborough, it's important to remind you that we were told that this site would be temporary. We have contacted the Home Office for a reply. We are still waiting for a response. I'll read to you what they'd previously said to us in a few minutes. Sean, this is going to go down absolutely terribly. There will be people in these places watching tonight who are finding out about it for the first time now, and they'll be fuming.
I think we need to go back to the election, though, but this is the Labour Party delivering on their manifesto. They promised that they would spread the the asylum seeking system across the country. It looks like they're fulfilling that promise. They said that, and I said at the time that will include many places in the country that don't see this as their problem. It will now become their problem. Let's see how they respond. a lot of the rhetoric around this has been how they're getting on top of immigration, how they've got it all solved. It doesn't seem like they do. But the most important thing for me out of your last report is the 50,000 asylum seekers who are missing. I want to know what's going to be done about those people. If reports are led to believe they're vulnerable people, should we be finding them because they're vulnerable? Are they making other communities vulnerable? What happens when they're found? Is their case immediately dropped because they absconded, or do they get extra support? The point is, the system is in as much as a mess, if not more, than they're inherited. As a Tory, I'll absolutely admit to you, it was not in a good condition when they got it, but it looks like it's getting worse.
And so, important things to know. I've done numerous different reports from RAF Wethersfield of rampant drug taking going on there. It's not a detention centre, so they're free to come and go as they please. There are taxpayer-funded bus and minibus services laid on basically whenever they want, and they can go around to the local areas. Crowborough, again, it's an army barracks. They are not fenced in there. They can go around to the local area whenever they want. There have been reports there of serious incidents involving locals, etc. Now, we have got some footage for you of the area of Linton-on-Ouse. Now, this has got about 800 people live there, apparently. Previous plans to put 1,500 people in that area. If they are not contained, then they are able to just walk out, do whatever they want in a quiet village where people of, maybe people of a certain age live there as well. And, I mean, the other thing to that is then they can just abscond. This is what's happening. 50,000 people have gone. What on earth are we doing here? You're just plonking people in the middle of a countryside town and letting them wander out across the countryside to never be seen again. It's madness.
But it's the way it destabilises an existing community that's the problem. It's the fact that you've got a village, if you like, of 800 people. You can't just parachute 1,500 people of a completely different background and culture in on top of them and expect not to have a problem, because I guarantee you there will be a problem.
This area will never be the same again. I mean, people there. We're looking at it now, yeah. So I think at the 2011 census, you're looking at around 700 people roughly live there, 800 people, so whatever that is now, right? But still, either way, I mean, you're doubling the population realistically if you put that many asylum seekers there. This is what about the human rights of the people who live in that area?
Well, let's have a reality check. Net migration is down by 800,000, small boats crossings are down by 40%, and processing of asylum seekers, and that's a huge issue, it is at an all-time high.
It's not true.
It is true, Patrick.
No, it's not true. But appeals are at an all-time high now. So you've processed them, and at least 80% of them have appealed it, and they're still here.
Yeah, and the government is bringing in changes to tackle that so that you can't have multiple appeals. There's a 24-week statutory limit on appeals. So
why do they need to open all these sites?
Well, because it will take time. I've made the point to you before on this programme. The last Labour government cut asylum numbers from 100,000 a year to 19,000 by the time we left office. But it took time. And therefore, until you drive the numbers down to much more manageable levels, which is the objective, you've got three options. You've got hotels, and clearly people don't want that, and the government is rightly seeking to close them. You've got houses in multiple occupation, which I think is the worst option, because, you're in the midst of housing estates. And the third option, and I think it's the least work... Well, we can come on to that, but I think the least worst option in terms of housing asylum seekers is military bases.
Would you agree that those military bases had to have much better security and big perimeter fences installed in order to keep some sense of protection for local villages?
I think there is an arguable case that people should be detained pending a decision.
We'll come back to this. We're going to come back to this, because this is the huge news, and it's going to have big consequences for a lot of these areas, and it's going to be massive, especially over the course of the summer. Border Security and Asylum Minister Alex Norris has said, look, we promised to close every asylum hotel and hand them back to communities. That's exactly what we are doing. 20 more hotels have closed. Hotel numbers have more than halved since their peak. Instead, we're moving asylum seekers into ex-military sites that are a far cry from the hotels the last government left us with. This is a system being brought back under control, and we will not stop until that is done. When we come back, we are going to be going back into this story because it is absolutely massive for people, and we're going to be revealing to you all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages as well. So all that and more in just a sec.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of 1 or 2 showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of 1 or 2 showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. It's been another very hot day today, and it will continue to be very warm tonight for much of Wales and England in particular. There is a risk of thunderstorms, though, building up across more southwestern areas as well as the northwest, where there is a weather front. We've still got incredibly hot and humid air with us through tonight, and that will linger into the weekend as well, with red and amber extreme heat warnings in force for parts of southern England. We've got thunderstorms pushing up across more southwestern areas through tonight. That will push into parts of northern England by tomorrow morning, so there's risk of heavy downpours as well as lightning and thunder. There's also a risk of thunderstorms across the far northwest of Scotland throughout much of Friday, with warnings in force for these areas. So it'll be another very warm start to the day, particularly across parts of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit of a damper start for more northern areas, so not quite as warm for these areas to start the day, but it will still be another very hot day into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-teens for parts of Scotland, so markedly fresher for these areas, which it has been through much of this week. But there is that risk of thunderstorms, and it will be a wetter day for much of Scotland, with heavy downpours likely through the day. Very strong sunshine for much of England and Wales throughout Friday. We do have a red and amber extreme heat warning for many eastern areas of England. It's the far southeast of England where we have that red warning in force. We're expecting high impacts due to the heat to the general population, so you may need to make adjustments to your plans. Temperatures are expected to reach the high 30s, 37 degrees is likely on Friday. Then throughout Saturday, we do turn much fresher across more western areas as Atlantic air starts to move in, but it will still be another very hot day in the east with an amber extreme heat warning in force. It's not until Sunday when we start to see that cooler air more widely across the UK, with temperatures in the high teens and low 20s.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News breakfast is there, with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We are going to return now to that huge breaking news story that the government is looking to expand the use of existing military barracks for illegal migrants, plus seek planning permission to use more former military barracks to house asylum seekers. Tonight, we can now reveal that they're going to look for sites in Bicester in Oxfordshire, Barnham in Suffolk and Linton-on-Ouse in North Yorkshire. They want to accommodate around 3,750 asylum seekers there. We can also reveal that the government is going to try to expand the use of those sites in Crowborough in East Sussex and Wethersfield in Essex beyond 2027. Joining us to discuss this now is the chairman of Migration Watch, Alp Mehmet. Alp, thank you very, very much for hot-footing into the studio here at short notice. Your initial reaction to the government's plans, really, to dump illegal migrants, in some cases, in just sleepy rural villages?
Well, here they are again, suddenly announcing that they're going to dump hundreds of young men in areas that I'm sure had no idea it was going to happen. Not only are they going to dump them on the communities, but we don't actually know what most of them are, where they're coming from, who they are, how old they are. I just think it's scandalous, really, that the government, any government, behaves like this. But I'm afraid there's little else to do as far as they're concerned, because they just haven't got control of the problem. This is all about trying to manage it, not to solve the problem. And it's about time we heard from them. How are you going to solve it? How are you going to stop young men from making their way over here in the knowledge that they'll be able to stay and stay for good?
The amount of damage this is going to do to areas, house prices are going to go down, people are going to not feel safe sending their kids to the local schools, there's going to be an increase in crime, there's going to be an increase in drug use, and I say that with absolute confidence because we've seen it everywhere else. Also, Al, we keep being told that there's no money for defence and that we are going to largely be defenceless if World War III kicks off. So the solution to that is to put a load of illegal migrants, most of whom will, by the way, be of fighting age, into disused military barracks. It just seems absolutely mental.
Well, it's more than that. This is taking risks with the lives of the British people. That's what it's doing. And I dread to think what would happen if there was another war, a third world war. Frankly, it will take a lot more than vacating those camps to be able to fight whoever it is that is turning against us. We're in a mess. We're in a mess. And some of it is to do with the money that we've spent on migrants coming here illegally. 75,000 plus since Starmer came into office. That's something like £30 billion lifetime cost to the British taxpayer. It's absurd.
Yeah, and look, I am incredibly sceptical about this, mainly because we've been told time and time again that some of these sites were temporary. Wethersfield was one of them, also Crowborough. They're not temporary, they're extending their use. I also have it on pretty good authority, very good authority actually, that they are actually expanding the processing centre at Manston. Why would you be doing that if you thought that this problem was going to go away? And the other big kicker here is 50,000 at least have absconded. The asylum backlog is the largest it's ever been. It's 123,000 now. The amount of appeals to a first decision rejection is the highest it's ever been. We are not actually deporting these people. We're deporting people who work at nail salons, and we're deporting people who might have come on a dodgy student visa from Brazil. We are not deporting the small boat migrants. They're here forever.
No, absolutely, and that's why they will continue to come, because we're not deporting 50,000. That's what the government will admit to. I suspect that it's a great deal more than that. We estimate that there are something like 1.5 to 2 million people here living illegally. This is just the tip of the iceberg, frankly, and the sooner I hope that Mr. Burnham, when he comes into office, as he surely will, starts thinking more seriously about how to deal with this problem, not to go the way of the Lib Dems, as they have done largely in Bournemouth, and see how are we going to make this more of a manageable problem to deal with and make life more comfortable for migrants. No.
But you know, I mean, you mentioned a third world war there. I mean, the reality is the third world is here and it's moving to places like Linton-on-Ouse. It's gone to Bournemouth. You know, it's ridiculous. We decimated a once beautiful seaside resort there and just turned it into one giant processing centre. It's absolutely bonkers. But look, Al, thank you very, very much for your time this evening. Really do appreciate that moment there. Who's the chairman of Migration Watch. When we come back, I'm going to have the front pages for you to be able to see what's on them, including the Metro that's reporting that the Mayor of London says that London can be warming by becoming like US desert cities like Phoenix. I'm not really sure what he means by that, to be honest with you. But anyway, there we go. There's the King's finances as well, and more on the asylum seeker issue. That's next.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
You've been to see Glengarry Glen Ross.
I have. So the movie was 92 and the play was 84, 85, something like David Mamet. It's all about men, or it's about men that are posturing being men. It's this idea of sort of toxic strutting, peacocking. However, the outrage, this most male of plays, has been cast with all women. Horrific. Taking away men's jobs right in front of us, Michael. It's on at the Old Vic, and we've got a cast of the ladies having a little word about it.
I think it might explode the play and open it up in really amazing ways, but we just don't know, and that is thrilling.
On first glance, you look at Glengarry and you think male, masculine world, male toxicity, but then if you strip that away and look at it from another lens, you say, no, this is about humans.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Joining me now is Chef Julia Walsh, who's the head of patisserie at Le Cordon Bleu. Thank you. How lovely to see you. You look marvellous in your chef's hat and your chef's jacket. Tell me about Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu has been in operation for over 130 years. We had our 130-year anniversary last year. I'm from the campus in London, in Holborn, and we have a very wide-ranging curriculum with our students. I teach patisserie, so for me, I teach students to learn about things such as bakery, cakes, entremets, such as this one here, and showpieces. We do chocolate and sugar sculptures as well.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
3 lines on my shirt, never stop me dreaming.
Could this be England's biggest superfan? Benny Elcock has covered his York home in St George's flags in support of England ahead of the World Cup. 3 Lions memorabilia are draped across his windows, garden gates and flower pots. Even the family's Yorkshire Terrier, Reggie, has his own outfit.
Been doing it for years. And always stick me Everton one up, because I'm a massive Everton fan. People just think I'm mad. Say, well, you've gone a bit mad, you've gone a bit overboard. I said, I don't care. I love it.
Football mad Benny can't wait for England's first match.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Yeah, welcome back. Look, let me just give you a little look at some of the newspaper front pages for tomorrow. The Telegraph, King will never live at the palace, is what they go for there. Express, palace not fit for a king. King to shun Buckingham Palace despite £369 million refurbishment. The iPaper, Heatwave UK, 50-year record broken again. The Mirror, big bucks for an empty homes. They're all teeing off on the king not living at Buckingham Palace. The Guardian, devastating story. There's thousands feared dead in the Venezuelan earthquakes. The Times, now this knocks it on a bit actually. Public funding for royals will double in 3 years. If you were listening at the top of the hour, King Charles has basically published his tax return and he won't be living at Buckingham Palace. Sean, you're making a point there about how you do fear a little bit for the future of the monarchy here.
I do. I think there's if you're younger, if you're a millennial, you probably don't care about the king. He's old people's business. But when you think that you're struggling, you can't buy a house, you're struggling to get a job, your life doesn't look like the life your parents parents had, and then you hear that the money for the royals has been trebled, and they're not even going to be living in the building that you're spending £370 million on. This will make them appear to you in the wrong way. And I really do think William has made a mistake by trying to separate himself from the establishment of this country. He is the establishment. If he separates himself, he weakens the monarchy. I'm talking about the comments he's made about he doesn't really feel good about the Church of England and all the rest of that. The royalty and the church have been intimately together in history. He separates himself, he weakens them both.
Yeah, got Linda, your views on this?
I think this is all disastrous publicity for the palace. I think that Bill hit the nail on the head when he said that this is in reaction to what happened with Prince Andrew, which totally destabilised the monarchy and really, really reputationally damaged it. So they've acted by being more transparent, but they have done, to use a cliche, too little, too late. And I can tell you, because I'm the mother of 2 Gen Zs and 1 millennial, they don't care about the monarchy. We really needed to do something to properly shore up the monarchy with its core base if we didn't want this to happen. And you look at the front pages of tomorrow morning's newspapers, most of them are about
I was very intrigued to see how the front pages would react, and they've basically all gone for the line that we're spending 370 million quid to do at Buckingham Palace and the King won't be living in it. And I just think that, and I've thought this for a very long time, that the King needs to get rid of whoever his PR advisors are. All of them. Because they are useless.
I'll make a prediction. I think the royal family is still going to be here in 100 years, but it's going to be a different and modernised and transformed monarchy. And I think that will be a good thing. I think the issue around the palace and the King not living there is a bit of a red herring. I mean, look, you know, it's a reception centre, it's an administrative headquarters. The family living quarters are an incredibly small part of the palace. And frankly, if he lives in Clarence House as opposed to Buckingham Palace, I don't think that's an issue.
I can see all that, and I understand why you're saying it's a red herring. But above all, this is about perception.
Correct.
And this is what the public thinks. When they think, well, we've spent £370 million renovating a palace that is not fit for a king, which is what the headline is in the Telegraph, the King will never live at the palace. It's simple enough for the public to get their arms around it.
But I think more significant than that is public funding for the royals doubling in 3 years. I think that is...
But this is emblematic of it. This is emblematic, isn't it? And whoever advises the King, he needs to get rid of them. And I don't just mean the 1 or 2 in the PR department. I mean the entire way it's built around him. Because they should have put this as a palace for the people, not a palace unfit for a king.
Yes, that's very, very true. Very true. Right, look, loads of front pages and that big breaking news, of course, about Operation Scatter in full flow now as well. It's going to be a box office final hour.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. It's been another very hot day today and it will continue to be very warm tonight for much of Wales and England in particular. There is a risk of thunderstorms, though, building up across more southwestern areas as well as the northwest, where there is a weather front. We've still got incredibly hot and humid air with us through tonight, and that will linger into the weekend as well, with red and amber extreme heat warnings in force for parts of southern England. We've got thunderstorms pushing up across more southwestern areas through tonight. That will push into parts of northern England by tomorrow morning, so there's risk of heavy downpours as well as lightning and thunder. There's also a risk of thunderstorms across the far northwest of Scotland throughout much of Friday, with warnings in force for these areas. So it'll be another very warm start to the day, particularly across parts of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit of a damper start for more northern areas, so not quite as warm for these areas to start the day, but it will still be another very hot day into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-teens for parts of Scotland, so markedly fresher for these areas, which it has been through much of this week. But there is that risk of thunderstorms, and it will be a wetter day for much of Scotland, with heavy downpours likely through the day. Very strong sunshine for much of England and Wales throughout Friday. We do have a red and amber extreme heat warning for many eastern areas of England. It's the far southeast of England where we have that red warning in force. We're expecting high impacts due to the heat to the general population, so you may need to make adjustments to your plans. Temperatures are expected to reach the high 30s, 37 degrees is likely on Friday. Then throughout Saturday we do turn much fresher across more western areas as Atlantic air starts to move in, but it will still be another very hot day in the east with an amber extreme heat warning in force. It's not until Sunday when we start to see that cooler air more widely across the UK with temperatures in the high teens and low 20s.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Huge breaking news in the last 20 minutes. The government is looking for planning permission to convert more disused military barracks into housing for illegal migrants, and one area they're looking to put them only has a population of 800 people. They're going to outnumber the locals with the amount of illegal migrants that they are landing on them. The other big story of the night, of course, is this public funding for the Royals going to double in 3 years, and the King's released his taxes. 370 million quid you paid to redo Buckingham Palace, and he won't live there.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome along to a bumper edition of Late Edition, breaking right now.
On the crossings across the channel, which so many people are concerned about, understandably, we've brought those numbers down as well. So the steps we've taken are beginning to pay off. And at the same time, asylum hotels are closing.
Look, this is absolutely outrageous. The government has a new plan for illegal migrants. They're going to put them in disused military barracks all across the country where they will be free to roam around wherever they please. And there's one town, village, I suppose you might call it actually, that now could be outnumbered by the number of illegal migrants. You factor in the fact as well that 50,000 at least have just gone missing. What we are going to be doing here is unleashing illegal migrants onto the British countryside and just hoping they stay where they are, which they won't. It is absolutely scandalous what's going on here, and I'm sorry, but I don't understand what the government thinks is going to happen here. When people go out and protest about it, are they all going to be called far-right racists, are they? Are they all going to be bigots? When something bad happens, what's going to happen then? Are the government going to clamp down on your social media because you pointed out that the inevitable has happened? It's an absolute disgrace. Also breaking tonight. Well, I can't help but wonder whether or not this has backfired a little bit, actually. King Charles is the first ever monarch to publish his tax returns. His tax bill has totaled £30 million. Great, fine, guy pays a lot of tax. Brilliant. But he will also never live in Buckingham Palace, despite it costing about 370 million quid to do it up. Now, that in itself might not be the worst thing in the world, but again, with the palace, I'm afraid to say, the way they've communicated this, I don't think has been particularly good. And it has opened a massive can of worms now about the future funding and indeed the future generally of the royal family. Also, killers, rapists and sex offenders are set to be amongst those released early from prison. There's going to be a big prisoner release bonanza this September, which is just around the corner. 6,000 criminals are going to be able to just wander out. And can I just say about this, if you're watching the TV now and you think everything here is just absolutely insane, what kind of country are we living in? Well, so am I, actually. This is just nuts. And devastating news coming out of Venezuela. Back-to-back earthquakes. You saw some of the footage of it there. The potential death toll here is in the tens of thousands. And
I'm so desperate. I'm so broken. I'm sleeping in this random man's house. I need my laundry doing, so that's for that. I need a shower, because my legs are black. And I'm just looking for a bed, because I've slept on the floor the last 2 nights.
we are going to be rejoined by that absolute legend. He's called James Lewis. He is dribbling a football all the way from Africa to Staffordshire for the World Cup to raise money for St Giles's Hospice, which is where his dad spent his final moments. He's an absolute hero, this guy. I can't wait to talk to him. And finally...
You see Harry Kane? I tie him. Now I'm going to release Harry Kane so that next match... with their next match with the opponent, he can score.
For tonight's finale, I will be joined by the Ghanaian witch doctor who has now lifted his curse on Harry Kane. But will it be enough to get England to win the World Cup? And will he put a curse on the BBC for us? Joining us this evening is journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. We've got former Labour Minister Bill Rammell and GBNews contributor and comedian Archie Manners. But first, let's get the latest bulletins with Lewis Mackenzie.